Hi, my name is Brian Delgado. I will be presenting advancements in stroke recovery and based off of traditional and also emerging treatments. First off, stroke is a leading cause of long-term disability worldwide. Millions of people are affected by it, not just a small population. It's a big thing in the medical field. A lot of hospitals in Santa Clara County are stroke centers, actually, um, and the focus after the stroke is to restore independence of natural life of how it was before having the stroke and then basically the advancements that are in this field of recovery are neurostimulation, robotics, telehealth rehabilitation, um, and that's just building from the foundational of the traditional recovery products. So the goal is just to evaluate, compare, and emerge the emergent therapies for stroke recovery. So traditional rehabilitation is just based off of repetition, your strength training, task specifics, all that stuff. How placing a bottle on top of a desk or moving one object to another object. So this is the foundation, and it still is the foundation for rehab for motor function after strokes. It's the same thing they do even for like injuries too. Um, and in a study, it showed that robot assisted therapy and the combination with the traditional ways showed a very significant improvement when it came to therapy. Um, and so rather than robotics and everything like that, that's going to be coming up soon, um, replacing this, they're building off of this foundation. And so the robot assisted therapy, they have these robotic they have these robotic boots and everything like that to help, the person move their legs. I've seen these in a stroke recovery center. They're very cool. They look very expensive, and that's a topic we'll get into in a moment. But they did show faster and better upper limb recovery, and also the improvement of arm function, and it reduces the rehabilitation cost because I believe you're not really having anybody there to like an actual person, an actual rehabilitation therapist, only one instead of a team. So and then there's the virtual reality rehabilitation. I think this one's the coolest one so far, and it's where they use the VR to actually move objects instead of actual objects, but they move the objects kind of for the repetition purposes of using your arms and legs, right? Um, and it creates an environment that's an interactive. It practices functional tasks, and it showed in a study as well that the VR improves upper limb function and activities of daily life. Um, it provides that engagement so that way the patients can adapt for the different needs, and then also they can learn how to do what they need to do if they don't fully recover, let's just say the ability to walk, and they just need to move their arms, because some patients will start off with full body weakness, and then they can have engagement in their arms but no engagement in their lower limbs. And then because of COVID causing a big shift of Medicare, medicine in general for people, that they invented the telehealth, which is convenient now because now it can be done through the the computer screen. You know, um, this is a really big advancement, I believe. It helps patients if they don't have a car or they can't even drive, or they have no one to push them around in a wheelchair or help them get up or whatnot. Um, they're able to do this on their iPad, their computers, their phones, and then the the rehabilitation therapist on the other side of the screen is able to still guide them and still help them through it. So this helps the accessibility for patients that have no income, not a lot of money, or they have no way of getting to these centers that they do the rehabilitation. Kind of like and that's a big problem with dialysis patients too. You know, patients can't make it to their dialysis appointment because it's too hard to get there because of transportation or whatnot. But you know, this is easier to be done over the screen because it's rehabilitation. All they're showing is just movements. And then this is the most expensive one, the most complicated one as well. They do neurostimulation, and basically they do a transcranial direct current stimulation. Nothing is injected or anything like that, but it's on the outside, and they it's a non-invasive stimulation, and um, it showed to improve upper limb movement in acute stroke patients, which means that they're just sending electrical signals into the brain to reconnect that area, you know. And then this shows how neuroplasticity, how neurons will repair themselves to make new connections to be able to do that function. And it's really a interesting um, interesting method of rehabilitation, especially because when a stroke happens, those neurons are dead, um, and so the brain's rerouting its whole system, and it's being aided with this. And so the overview of this is just I'm showing here how traditional therapy, how the therapy type and the effectiveness and the accessibility and the patient engagement. And so traditional therapy is the accessibility is high. That's no problem whatsoever. The effectiveness is moderate because I mean it's still the foundation and it's what we're building off of. And then now the patient engagement's low, but the robotic and the virtual reality and telehealth rehabilitation are high, and the accessibility is medium to high. But because this is actually more um, accessible to some patients, and the engagement is high as well because they are showing improvements in recovery. Um, the effectiveness for neurostimulation is extremely high. That's what the study showed. Um, the accessibility though is low, and this isn't a pretty expensive procedure. I mean, uh, I'm I'm gonna assume because I didn't look into it, but I'm gonna assume that it's a pretty expensive procedure. Um, and then the patient engagement is a medium level. And so for future directions, um, combining robotics with the VR and the neurostimulation would benefit patients um, on a greater level. It's just the accessibility for some patients. It can't be done entirely. But they want to expand telehealth, telerehab for the populations that can't get it too much, and then um, conducting the long-term clinical trials to measure the durability of recovery, and then possibly integrate AI. And this was interesting, an idea, but this would possibly be something that where AI could come in or help track, your plan for any stroke patients that need a plan to do a certain exercise in the morning or whatnot, or the AI is also keeping track and progress of how your recovery is going and what you're able to do here and there and this and that. So to conclude, stroke recovery, it is entering and it can enter further into a new technological innovation path. Um, the traditional therapy will still remain, and but with the robotics, the VR, everything else. There's more stuff out there, but with just this stuff, like the outcomes, um, is far far better, and the accessibility is the only problem. Of course, it's money, not just for the hospital and the doctors or whatnot. It's also money for the patient, and that's the most important part. And so they're gonna continued research of this topic is could vastly help the population out and patients that have strokes, and it could improve the quality of life. And so here are my references, and that's about it. Thank you.